Another live conversation. Today is going to be an interesting one, so I want you to hold on and just be ready to just learn. Right. So, I am your host, Elizabeth Olujimi, and today I am joined by the amazing Phadera Flash. So, Phadera, how are you?
I'm very good. Very, very good.
You're very good. I love that. Let's try a different look. Let's see if this works instead. There we go. Um, let me change that. Sorry, that's better, right? So
Okay.
today we are live and we are going to be talking about property. We're probably going to talk a bit about family. We might even talk a bit about like serving God and doing ministry and doing business and all these things. What is the thing that makes you tick as a business owner? Um, as an entrepreneur, whatever it is, as a professional, as a mother, we're going to talk about that. So, before we get into that, Fadera, do you want to tell us a bit about yourself?
Okay. In a nutshell, I'll just give you my title, which is a property business lifestyle strategist. Insofar that I help people to navigate property, I combine it with business, which enables them to align with their lifestyle goals, because I believe they all go hand in hand.
Okay,
And
awesome.
I've got over 3 decades worth of property experience from back in the 80s to present day today. So
Wow.
I can,
Over three decades. Over
yeah,
three. Oh, my days.
yeah.
Oh, my days. Wow. This is going to be interesting. Hi, Pastor Tunji. My husband's on there. So, hi, Tunji.
Hi, Tunji.
He does a bit of property, so I'm sure he's going to
Okay.
find this interesting as
Okay,
well.
that's interesting. Yeah.
So if you're watching, please help us share the link. Let's get other people onto this conversation. I'm just trying to make sure I can see this on LinkedIn, which it should be on. So let's just do that, and then we carry on with this conversation because I am ready. Like yesterday, I got a bit of a taster, on your property stuff. So today's going to be like even more interesting. So, what got you into property?
You know what? I used to go to America from the age of 16 every single year in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And my aunts always owned property. They had
Oh,
those big brownstone buildings, and that's what they did. And it's something that I kind of felt interested in. And then I went into the legal profession, and my bosses, they all own properties. So it was something that was, oh, someone else owns properties. And then I remember saying to a friend of mine from school, I said, you know what, I really want to get into properties, And then she says to me, I bought one. I said, really? So she then showed me took me to a property, and that was like a desire. And then within about a week or so, I believe it could have been a week or so, but within a short space of time, a friend of mine that I grew up with, who's speaking, and told me that he was the manager for an estate agent.
oh
And at that
wow.
time, it was Abbey National. They used to be estate agents as well. Abbey National Cornerstone. So he's the manager for an estate agent. So I said, wow. And I told him that I wanted to get into properties. And then one day he came to me and said to me, I've got a property for you. It was a 1-bedroom flat in Camberwell. And it was on the market for 57,000.
Oh wow, you can't get that
Yeah.
now.
However, it was a repossessed property. And he said to me, you know what, this property's been on the market, but we had a meeting about it last week, and they were saying they would go as low as 35,000. So then he said to me, what you can do, put an offer in for 35,000. And what we'll have to do is to put a notice in the paper.
Oh wow, okay.
And then, so to tell somebody that this property's been sold for 35,000, if you've got a better offer, let us know. So that was in the paper for about a week.
Wow.
No one responded. It was mine. With that property, I took a 5% loan, £3,500 loan, and I got the mortgage, 95% mortgage.
So
Plus,
how old were you at the time?
I was in my 20s. I think I was about 23 at that time.
Wow. Okay.
And I also worked with solicitors, so they did all my conveyancing. And then that's where it began. And now from then, he worked with the Agri-National, but what he would do, his girlfriend would buy a lot of the properties that came in, and then he would sell them. But what they would do is pay your deposits. So they would increase the price slightly, and then your deposits will be included in the price. And that was something that became the norm, because you got developers doing exactly the same thing. So as a result of that, my credit was very good. I started buying, and that was the way I did it. I bought them. My deposits and legals was paid, and then you just continued on. During that time, you wasn't really allowed to have more than one property, but you got around it because of the Miras. You didn't have to sign for Miras. And then you.
Sorry, that was me.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, Phadera. That was me trying to get it on my phone as well.
Yeah, So that's how I really got in, and it just started from there. And once once you're in a circle, you start meeting, because a lot of I say not my generation, during that time, we were all, at the time there wasn't the word entrepreneurs, they were called buppies. I think we even became, the entrepreneurs wasn't a thing.
Okay.
We were called, there were the buppies, which were the black people, and then there were yuppies, which was the white people.
Oh wow.
And then entrepreneur came out later on, but I would say that we were the first out of the blacks that really started buying. I would say I'm part of the group that opened the door, because we were the first to really start buying properties like that. Our parents may have bought properties and they bought it for very cheap, but they bought one. Whereas we went ahead and continued to buy. Some of them became developers, and then we just grew from there. And there was a group of us. But because you usually know the developers in that time, you'd know each other. You would hear, somebody knows them. But there was a lot of developers that we worked with, and they were young people just like myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you've been in property for, you said, over 3 decades.
Yeah.
Wow. So what are some, if I was to say, what are your 5 top tips for someone who wants to go into property?
5 top tips.
Yeah.
What I would say, first of all, you have to have a desire, but you have to have a desire. You have to have a desire. That's something that you want to do, not because you've seen other people do it. Because many people want to get involved in property because they hear it's the next best thing, but it's not always that easy, because there's going to be times when they're going to have no money. Ooh, and there's going to be times, because they're going to be hard times. There are, but you have to know what you're doing. When I say you have to know what you're doing, you have to believe in what you're doing, and it will follow. So the first thing is to have a desire. Second thing is to be confident with who you are. And the reason why I say that, because when I used to go to estate agents, I will call it going into mode. I've become the person they expect to see that wants to buy a property. So that time there wasn't a lot of money flying around, so I kind of positioned myself as somebody that's inherited money. Or at the time is when I was working with solicitors, so they used to have clients' money that they can use. So then I was working on behalf of a client and looking for properties more for cash buyer. But I played the part. So they will when I say played the part, I looked as if that was true, because it was true. Okay. So I was confident enough to go in and say, this is what I'm looking for. Do you have anything? And that's how I built relationships, because you also have to learn to build relationships as well. So I built relationships with agents. Everyone that I met in business became a friend. In the sense that I formed a relationship. So we're friendly, where I share whatever I know and vice versa. So it was more of a friendship as more of a business relationship, because when you're doing business, it's a partnership anyway. So it's really being able to form relationships, be confident in yourself, and really have that desire to do it. And then I'll say, be able to take knocks, because there's illusion that, well, they say, oh, no money down deals. So people think that they can go out and buy a property, go and see a property, and it's going to be automatically it's going to be a no money down deal. That's not always the case, because everybody has a reason as to why they're selling. You need to be able to identify the buyers, identify the sellers, identify what it is, why they're selling. And then you can see if you can negotiate something. It depends on the person's circumstance. It depends on the property. It depends on the area. So you have to be able to accept a knock when it comes. When something doesn't go your way, understand that's part of the process, and you're going to learn something from that anyway. So not to be put off because of you might get disappointment. And fifthly, I would say, treat property as a business. And by that I mean, when I say treat property as a business, because it is a business. If you're buying somewhere to live, just say it's going to be your home, you still have to ask yourself, would I be able to sell this?
Okay.
Would I be able to sell this? Does it have any, what are the pros and cons of this property? Because when you want to sell, you're going to find it difficult to sell if it's not something people really would want. Then you have to ask yourself, what's the area like? What's the location like? And what else can it be used for? Because properties are not just somewhere people live in. Is it good for rental? Can it be turned into maybe a children's home? Can it be turned into a doctor's surgery? There's many things that properties can be done. You can do. Can I extend on it? Is there room for improvement? So treat it as a business, even if it's somewhere you're going to buy for yourself. So you have to. Those are my five.
Wow, those are some great tips. Like form relationships, be confident in who you are, treat property as a business. I love it. And I love the fact that you are talking right from your experience. Like this is something that you have lived out. So that's really amazing. So in the little intro that I had for you, which I posted out, you do stuff with property and lifestyle. Tell me a bit about that, like property and lifestyle. How are we combining the two?
Well, I say lifestyle came about because I'm a parent, and I've had challenges as a parent. I've got 4 wonderful children. I've got 3 girls, 2 of them are twins, and then I've got a son who's 18 now. And my oldest daughter, she's 24, and now she's given me 3 grandchildren. So the oldest one is 4, and my youngest grandchild is now 6 months. And then one in between is a year and a half.
Let's stop there for a moment. You don't look like a grandma.
Oh yeah, I am.
Not that there is a grandma look out there, but you don't look it. Honestly,
what? I'm kind of, because I had my first daughter when I was my first child at 34. Wow. And I remember I used to think to myself, I don't want to be 80 and then I'm going to be saying, can I see, what does the baby look like? What's her name? Because I've got my eyes ain't that good. So in a way, she's blessed me, because I had them at a time when she gave me grandchildren at a time when I can see them and I can participate as a grandmother. So yeah.
Wow, awesome. So yes, continue the lifestyle and
you know what it was, because it was when I had children. By the time I had my I would say I was living a dream life, because I would say I stopped having to do any work by the time I got married and I had my children, and that was my plan. The plan was make as much as you can, be financially secure, and then you can have a family. However, God has different plans, but that was my plan. And you think, oh wow, that's it, it's all going on. Then I had my daughter, and then I had the others. They're all like 2.5 years apart from each other. But then I did go through. I went through, because before, my properties will pay for themselves and pay for me to live, and they were all in private school for a while as well. So it paid. It gave us a good income for the children.
That's good.
But then when you got to like 2008, things started to change. Interest rates was high. I wasn't making any. My properties were not paying for themselves anymore. I was going into my pocket, and it was like robbing Peter to pay Paul. And then things started to go hard, and I had started selling my properties in order to keep up with what I needed, and I needed to keep my credit in line as well. But what I found when I say lifestyle came into it, because I realized with children, I worked alongside my children, because I wasn't really working, doing anything. I was part of the school committee, getting involved. So when they had birthday parties, I started making invitation cards. And little presents that they could give to their friends. But they were nice things, and they were nice personalized cards. And then my daughter used to have eczema. So I remember we went to the Vitality show, and I bought her some cream. And I looked at it and I thought, I can make this myself, So I started making it myself.
Oh, wow.
And using it on my dress. So I started making cream fall out. They've been brought up on the creams that I make. And then when my daughter went to uni now, she took batch with her. Then her friends wanted them. So I was just making them and she would send it to her friends. So the point I was making is this: in everything in life, there's always a business opportunity somewhere.
Ooh,
And you have
to
look at what God's given to you. Because I went through a period of, I say, when things had changed, because I was buying properties, living off my income, and I was cool. I was putting my feet up. I was good. Then things got really bad. And I remember when my credit went downhill really badly. And a friend of mine said, so I'm thinking, I can't do anything. I can't do any more properties because my credit's really bad, because I used to go out and buy all the time. And I couldn't do that anymore because my credit went downhill. And then a friend of mine invited me to the PIN meeting. And I said, no, I don't want to go. Just come. You're going to like it. Just come. So I went to this PIN meeting, and you had to give, like, I think a 20-second elevator pitch. Mm-hmm. Right. Now, because you're in property, I'm always getting offered properties anyway. And what I would do, I'd pass it on to somebody else, because I couldn't buy anything because my credit was bad. And I'd pass it to other developers. So I still always take them. And if they're a good deal, I say, look, man, I've got a property deal. Are you interested in it? And then I pass it on and they give me a fee for it. Then I had a list of properties that were up for sale. And I used to, those days, it was always, you're trying to trap people by paying their deposits. That's what you did. You always sold properties, but you included deposits in the price, because developers, it's quicker for them to get it sold. Mm-hmm. And also, when it comes to valuations, and this is what I believe, and I've tested it for myself, nobody really knows the true value of a property. They don't. They only know it by what's been sold in the area. Valuers phone estate agents and say to them, I've got a property up for sale, and I've noticed you sold one in that area, and it's on the market for blah, blah, blah. Do you think it's worth that? And then the estate agent will say, well, yeah, anything between this price and that price. I felt that before I became an agent, and I was correct. Because before I was an agent, I was thinking no one knows the price of a property. So when I did my own developments, I put the prices up as well. And I will then put it in the middle. So it's not bad, it's in the middle. So I won't go to top end, so I know it's going to get valued. But anyway, so I lost my track now. But yeah, I forgot. What did you ask again? I've lost my track.
We were talking about lifestyle and property.
Yeah. So then what happened now? Yeah, I went to the PIN meeting, and then what I did, I said, I'm Phadera. I've got a list of properties, all deposits paid. Come and see me. That was it. I was flunked with people. Everybody came rushing to me. And then I thought, you're back in business. Because I had no cards. I had to write my name and their details on a bit of paper. I had nothing with me. And then that's when I realized there's more. It's what you know that counts. And what you have. Because I was attracted to a lot of materialism. Because when I used to go and get my properties, I put up in a nice car and all this, and you know the glam and that. So I looked the part. And then when I didn't really have to think the nice car anymore, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, no one's going to want nothing from me. But it's different. It's about what you know. So I started selling properties that other people had, and then I started finding properties for people again, and then charging for that. And then it's like your information. I started drafting contracts for people when it comes to, and also with tenancy agreements. I was selling tenancy agreements. So It's like whatever you know, just put your hand in it and make something of it, because you can, because there's somebody that wants to know what you know. And I'll say another story. When I was, as I said, I was at home with the children, and I was doing business. I wasn't making loads of money, but I was getting by. Yep. And we still had some properties. But we couldn't do as much as we used to be able to do. And then my children would be like, Mum, why don't you get a job? And I'm like, but I'm working, I've got a business. And they'd be like, but we're always skint, because there was a time when it was kind of hard, And so funny enough, what happened, I had a list of some nice properties in central London, some really good ones. some really for high net worth individuals, and I gave it to a guy. He goes to me, you know what? That property that you gave to me, those properties you gave to me, because these was like they were like million plus, they're like 2 million, 4 million, those kind of brackets. He goes, well, there's a woman that I work for, and she wants to meet with you. However, I remember saying to my brother, because what was happening when I had the properties in South London for sale on my list, now developers didn't even want them because nobody can get mortgages anymore. They wasn't getting any more mortgages. And I remember saying to my brother, you know what? His name's Edmund. You know what, Ed? I said, I need to go into central London, you know. And I need to deal with the Russians and the Chinese because they're the ones that's got the money.
What about the Jewish? They got money too, then.
Yeah, no. But that's what I said to him. Conversation. Now, I sent these properties out to this guy. And he's called me back. He says to me, you know what? There's a woman that I'm working with. And she likes the stuff that you sent her. And she wants to meet up with you. Yeah. But she's in China at the moment. When she comes back, I'll have to arrange for you to meet up with her. And I'm like, whoa. So I went and met with her. And then she goes, but you know what? She goes, then she offered me a deal. She said to me, look, you can come and work with us, but you could be an independent. That's Remax. You could be independent. And that means you've got control over whatever you have. And also whatever you sell, you just give us something for it. And she goes, but however, the guy that runs my office is in Russia. He's in Russia. When he gets back, we have a meeting and then you make a decision if you want to come with us or not.
Oh,
so
wow.
I'm like, whoa, but you know what happened before then? I have a friend of mine, she was Iranian. And she sold some properties to some Arabs. And they didn't pay her.
Oh, no.
And I remember saying to her, gosh, you're white. Yep. And I'm black. And if they're not paying you, how am I going to get paid?
Oh, my days, the reality.
So when they offered me this deal, it made sense because I thought, you know what, at least I've got backing of them. Yep. Now, when you start with Remax, you have to have your picture on the. You have your picture on the on your cards, business cards. Again, I'm black. I'm in central London, innit? And then you got to do these leaflets. They get leaflets, and you got to do these leaflets. And I'm thinking, I don't even know why I'm doing this for because I know because I was the only black in the office. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
So when you're going out doing your leaflets now, it's like they're not gonna want to do with you because you're black. But it's not that. It's your own. That's your own fare. It's about what you know and what you have.
Come on.
They do it with me anyhow. Do you understand? It's what you know and what you have, and that's why we as the people have to take off these hats or take off these things off our shoulders. Yep. Because it's not about what people buy people.
Ooh. And
it's how you present yourself, what you say, and be honorable in what you do. And once you do that, then there's not an issue. There shouldn't be a problem there. So it's things like that. And then I found by being in central London, it just opened a lot more doors for me. It opened a lot more doors for me in terms of my contacts, because it's an international company, contacts. So it did. It opened a lot of doors for me in many, many ways. Many ways.
Wow, that's an amazing story. That's an amazing story, honestly. And you were in a position where you were a single mom of 4.
Yeah.
At the time you were doing all of this.
Yeah, because my marriage broke down by the time my son was 18 months. So I had the 4 children. And the oldest was 6 and the youngest one was 18 months. So it wasn't easy.
Wow.
And I must say also, as a single mother at the time, I was a bit embarrassed. And I tell you, because I used to wear my wedding ring all the time, because I've got these young children and they weren't the best. They really wasn't. They wasn't the best. There was a bit much for me to deal with them at the time. I used to have to practice in the mirror away from them, my discipline, because I used to laugh a lot. So if I told them off, I can't let them see me laughing because they're going to think it's funny. So they got to the stage where they say to me, Mum, why are you laughing? I said, because I'm going to beat you. When I laugh, it means I'm going to beat you. because I'd laugh too much. Because they used to make me laugh, but they were rude at the same time. Yeah, so I had to start to be firm. So I wouldn't. So we would be out, and they would not be nice. But I never would tell them off in public, because I don't know what I'm gonna get by doing that. So I would just wait till we get home, or on the way home. Then I will really go into one with them. You know, I would really go into them. But it's paid off, because they are good. But it also taught me a lot about life, and also not about judging people. Because I said God has a good heart. Because I was one of those parents. You know, my children was in private school, and it'd be like, you look at other children, how they behave, and then you're quick to blame the parents. But it's not the parents. And I will say that I would not blame the parents, because I became the parent that people was blaming.
Oh gosh.
I became the parent that people was blaming. But it is what it is. What you get out, what you get out, what you give. Because I was like that at one stage. I'd think it was the parents to blame, but it's not. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on there. And I do remember once when this little boy stole my son's bike, and I went round and I saw the parent, and I knocked on her door, and she goes, "Oh, I'm really sorry, it's my son." But she was talking, I felt she's just like me. She's just trying to raise her children the best she can, and it made me just look at life differently. So, you know what? Everybody's got their struggles, and we don't know what their situations are. And when we sit back and talk about what they're doing, you don't know what they're going through. You don't know what help they need. You don't even know where they're at. They might not have no support, because I was one of those parents that didn't have the support, because my mum died when my youngest was 6 months. So I didn't have that support. So it was just me. But I'm glad that I did raise them. Because I guarantee you, if my mum was alive, she would have been the babysitter. She would have been, Mum, I'm traveling, I'm doing business, But I believe it's good when you raise your children. And I would encourage, even my daughter, I encourage her to raise her children. She's doing a good job, because I'm not a hands-on grandma. I'm not hands-on, because I just came up raising children. I ain't got time to be grandma for 100%. I'm not a full-time grandma, but I'll help when I can. But I think it's important for you to raise your children on your own.
Wow, I love that. I love that. So what are some, I guess, tips as well, again, that you would share to someone who is maybe in the times that we're living in, like, people are trying to balance so much, and like in society today, we talk a lot about like mental health. People find an imbalance, and it can affect their well-being, it can affect their mental health. But you've talked about like trying to manage life, manage the businesses, the properties, and yet you had 4 kids as well, round about the same ages that you were dealing with literally by yourself. So what are some things that you would share with someone who might be in that place where they're struggling, like, I've got a bit, I want to go full out with my business, but I don't want to miss out on being a parent, like, how do you balance those things?
You know what it was? There was a time when I will say I was diagnosed as being depressed, and I'll tell you what happened. It was a time when, when I used to get these pains in my chest. I used to think I was having a heart attack. There was often, I have to sit down, there's a pain in my chest, and I've got to sit back because it's really hurting me. And then I was out one day, and I had these pains again. It was for a long day. We went to a birthday party, children's birthday party. Then I thought, oh gosh, this pain's really bad. So I phoned, I said, I've got to go. And I went to Sainsbury's chemist to get something. And I said to my mum, I've got this pain in my chest. And she goes, oh, I think you should really go to, I was going to get some Cavustin. She said, no, I believe you should just go to the hospital, to A&E. And I'm thinking, but I haven't got no one to take my children. So then I couldn't get hold of my cousins, and I couldn't get hold of my brother to let them know I'm going to go to hospital, and I'm going to put you down as my next of kin. However, I put you down as my next of kin, but I couldn't get hold of anybody. So then I remember saying, I can't even go. I can't afford to be sick. So I went to the doctors on the Monday. This was on the weekend of Saturday. So I had to get myself better. I just had to go back into bed and just deal with the pain. And then on Monday, I went to the doctors and I said to them, oh, told them what happened. And I said, I can't even be sick. And I started crying. I broke down and started to cry. I said, I can't even afford to be sick. And then she told me to do this list of stuff. And I filled in this thing. And then she says, you know what, you're actually depressed. Wow. And she goes, I can give you some medication and all this. So I said, okay. But I didn't take the medication, but I said, okay. And then I said, oh, that explains. Because there's many times I would look around my house and see mess. And I can't be bothered to do anything. Or I would start to tidy, then I just can't be asked. And then I said, oh, that's why I'm feeling that way. That's why. And then it made me say, okay. And then she said to me, but because my mum just passed away, my relationship just broke down. And there's a lot going on. I'm struggling to pay the school fees, struggling to even live in my house. So there was a lot going on there. So it can understand why that is. Mm-hmm. So it made me realize, okay, I've got this diagnosis, but I didn't wear it. I didn't wear it. It just explained my condition, why I was feeling, and also what it did for me is gave me an explanation to understand how to get out of it. Okay. And also and I say with anybody, we get given labels. There's nothing wrong with that. But a label is like when you're just say, for instance, you write a business plan and then you realize things are going off track. You got to readjust. You get back on track. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing with your life. You might be told, you're suffering from depression. You don't have to wear it. You have to fight not to wear it. But it's what you tell yourself when you speak. It's the things that you say. How can I get through this? What do I need to do? Who can help me? When you ask those questions, you get answers. When you say things like, oh, why? I don't know. Why is it? Why me? Why me? What can you say when somebody says that? You can't say nothing. But when somebody says, how can I? What can I? Who can? You're going to get an answer from that. It will just come. And that's what I found. It was more about, what do I need to do? How can I get out of this? But things started coming into place, and I did not go around saying, I'm depressed. It would be understandably, but I didn't, not because I didn't want to, but I just didn't feel like doing it.
Yeah.
It wasn't that someone told me not to. I just didn't feel like doing that. I just felt, okay, now I know what it is. Let me try and see what I can do. But also understand that there are going to be time when life changes. Life changes in so many different ways. It's changed for me in so many ways, even being a mother. I was single. When I say single, I had no children, carefree, traveling, do whatever I want. Then I've got a child. I actually forgot I was a mum at one stage. When I say forgot I was a mum, you're making plans and you're thinking, oh my goodness, I forgot I've got a child. I can't do that. And that's what happens. It's real. So you forget at sometimes because you're transitioning from one stage to the next. You can't just have children and all of a sudden, hey, I'm a mum. No, you have to learn how to be a mum and get used to the idea and accept it and embrace it. Rather than sit and say, oh my goodness, I can't. I remember once I was having a moan, and this was to my pastor. I said, no one ain't helping me look after my children. I ain't got no one, and it's not fair. Blah, 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 really going on. And then he said, well, you chose to have them. And I'm like, what?
Wow.
And then he said, listen, me and my wife came over from America. We had no one. We had to look after our children, so we had to look after them ourselves. So don't expect people to help you. If they help you, that's good. They don't have to help you. It was a hard lesson, and I was very angry. Very angry, but when I look back, it was the best thing he said. Because it's not about, you don't expect anything from anybody. Because you embrace it more when people do it willingly, not because they feel obligated to do it. So it's like, yes, I looked after my children, and yes, there were times when I cried. I had to say, God, I'm a mother. I am not a father. I'm a woman. I'm not a man. Help me with these children. Help me. Help, because it was hard. But he made it easier without me realizing. I look back, I'm thinking, whoa. So it is, the help you get is from God. You ask God to help you, and I guarantee you, He's going to send somebody. He's going to do something. He's going to give you that energy, that peace, that you're going to be able to do it. And that's what I say.
Wow. Wow. I love what you say there, because it's easy to embrace the problems, embrace the labels, and sort of sit there just carrying them and talking about them and just like indulging in them, instead of actually saying, how can I, who can I, just like you said, like if someone doesn't reach out for help, ask for help, um what can they expect?
Yeah.
So honestly, thank you for sharing that. Thank you, Ben, for just like being vulnerable and sharing like from your experience, um about the stuff that you went through, and that depression and all of that. Thank you to everyone who's watching. Thank you for the comments coming in. Just let me pick up on this one that Nicole's put on here. So life transitions take adjustments, and mindset and attitude is key, as it determines the experience you have. And you've literally just talked about like transitions, and just how it's important to yes, acknowledge, but actually be able to still keep going.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned a bit about like going to your pastor and stuff like that, so I'm going to ask, like, what role has your faith like heard in, or where's the place of faith? Because sometimes people can get angry with God, like, why am I going through this? Why has my marriage broken down? Why am I the one raising 4 kids on my own? Why is business not going right now? And they get angry with God, and they can even walk away from God. But you're still in the faith. You've been through all this stuff. You look like a strong woman. You look like you've been through it, but you've come out strong. So what role has your faith like played in this?
Well, it says train the child up the way they should go. When they're old, they will not depart. Yeah. And my mum was a very strong Christian, but she didn't force us to go to church. When we was young, I used to go to church, and then we got older, we came out of the church. And then you just go through all this, you like your worldly living and all the rest of it. However, I would say my mum's death gave me life. And then when I say that, I mean, I loved my mum. She was the greatest mum ever. But if she was alive, I wouldn't be the person I am today. Because my mum was my go-to person. Mum, can you pray for me? Mum, what do you think Jesus is saying about this situation? Wow. And it was all that all the time. My mum was praying for us, and she'd always say, you read your Bible? Yeah. You got to read your Bible every day, Yeah. But you don't want, but come on, Mum. And then I'd be out with her. She'd say to somebody, she'd be out and she'd be walking, and she would say, Jesus, to somebody on the road, Jesus loves you, And I'd be like, Mum, that's so embarrassing. Why would you do that? And then she might pray with somebody. Oh my goodness, Mum, why would you do that? And it's always Jesus. Even when my daughter was born, the first one, she used to think my mum was called, she used to call my mum Jesus. She used to say, because my mum would say, Jesus loves you. So she would say to my mum, Jesus, But anyway, so after my mum had passed, things started to go downhill for me. And I couldn't understand it. And then I said, I don't know what it was, but it dawned on me that she was no longer, her prayers was no longer holding me there. I remember saying to my brother, we have to start praying for ourselves, because Mummy's prayers ain't there for us no more. We have to pray for, because she was always the one praying for me. So then also when she was dying, my mum died of cancer. And she was only 62 when she died. And she said when she was in the hospital, she was just ministering to everybody. It's about Jesus and all this stuff, But she also believed in healing. I believed in healing because I was in the church by then. But I didn't know enough. I believed in healing. I just thought she's going to, no, it's my mum is not going to die. My mum, no way, that's going to happen to my mum. But then she did die. But what I got is my people perish through lack of knowledge. Okay. That was Isaiah 4:6. So that made me decide to get into the word and understand the word. And I remember being at church, and the guy was speaking. He said, do you know Jesus for yourself, or do you just know about him? And then he gave an example. He goes, that's my dad over there. He goes, I know my dad. I could tell you all about my dad because he's my dad. I have a relationship with my dad. I speak to my dad and we communicate all the time. He goes, but that man over there is my dad's friend. I only know about him from what my dad's told me about him, but I don't know him. And he goes, so
Wow.
do you want to know Jesus or do you want to know about him? And then from that, it made me say, I want to know Jesus for myself. And that was my thing. And also, I went through a stage of not, because I always say, when business, you got to go straight to the main man. They don't forget the middleman, go straight to the main man. So my thing was, I ain't going to Jesus. I'm going to God. I'm going to the main man. What am I going to the middleman for? I don't need to do that. I'm going straight to God. And I remember saying, God, you know what? I can't get this Jesus thing. I don't get this Jesus thing. I don't know what I have to go to Jesus for. But just show me if I'm supposed to. But I don't think so, because I want to deal with you directly. You know, our thing, me and you direct. Forget Jesus. We know about him, but let's do it with you direct. But anyway, this guy was giving his testimony at church. I don't remember what he was talking about. All I remember, he said, Proverbs 3:5-6, trust the Lord God with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. All your ways acknowledge him and he will direct your path. And I said, wow, that's my answer. I don't understand. I don't need to understand it. Just trust God. And then from then, it's Jesus, 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 you know. But also, I've just seen him at work. When I say I've seen him work in me, even like with my mum dying, he said, you know, when he said he gives the peace that surpasses all understanding, it's like my mum's pain is so far back, I can't get to it, but it's there. So it's like he's cushioned it around. So it's like it's cushioned, but it's back. So I can't even get to the pain, but I know there's pain, you know. And it's like, even like with my children, and I've seen how I've prayed and seen how God's turned things around. But it's not even like when I was at church, right? I've gone through a stage where I call it wilderness, where you went through a period of rejection in every single way. Whereas before, you was embraced, you was liked, because you know you was making money, but you was liked and everybody was your friend. And then all of a sudden, people get invited to gatherings and you're not invited. Then your children are the wayward children. No, I don't have them with their children. No. So this is something alien to you. And I had to come home and be upset. But then God showed me in the Bible, it says, do not be offended, because you have offended others. And I'm thinking, whoa, it's right, because I offended enough people in my time, you know. So it's like, okay, Lord, I get it. And it says, don't grow weary in doing good, because you know, it's like saying, and I did this and I did that. That's not fair. Don't grow weary. And these are things that I did not know were in the Bible. Don't grow weary in doing good. And when I did say to God, I want to get to know you, what do I need to do? And I was given the scripture, Matthew 1:18. And it starts with the birth of Jesus Christ. So when you know God's in the midst of everything, so we're not to be offended, because it's lessons that we're learning. I've learned lessons along the way because of how people dealt with me. And I'm glad they dealt with me, because they were supposed to. I had to come down a peg or two, you know. I'll give another example. But my children, I got 3 girls. And at the time I think I might have just had the one child. Yeah, maybe it was one child. Another one was really small. And I had a friend that had 2 girls at school. It's in a private school. And then it'd be a Monday morning. I say, I don't understand some people, you know, because look at it's Monday morning and their daughter's hair ain't even combed properly. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, it's not even combed properly. I could never do that to my child. Now, when my 3 daughters are in school, all 3 of them hair's not combed. Yeah, I'm brushing it up. I'm brushing up their hair. So I've stopped talking about people, because you end up being like them. It's the things you despise the most, what you become. So that's my motto. Don't talk about it, because you don't know what they're going through. I could not do their hair weekend. No way. No way. It's a bit. I got. It's like one child might go one day with a good hair. The other 2 are suffering. but that's how it is, you know. So I've learned, but you know what? God brings you out of it. because you still have to ask them to help you with certain things. Certain things you can't. Lord, help me with this. I got to stop talking about people. You know, I don't like it. But sometimes I find one time I want to talk about somebody. I just say, Lord, help me. I don't want to talk about them. I mean, I'm not a gossip, but if someone really pees me off, I'm going to say something to somebody. Guess what? So did. Yeah. So I remember saying, Lord, I don't want to do this anymore. I know it's wrong. Yeah. That's something that I need to work on. Yeah. And someone really peed me off. Everybody I phoned wasn't answering my phone call. So I couldn't do it. I just say, thank you, Jesus. You know, so it's lessons that we have to learn. Because people go through what they go through. And we might be annoyed by what they've done, there's a reason why they've done it. And it's not even for us to even concern ourselves with what they've done. It's for us to really pray for them and say, Lord, just help them. I don't know why they did what they did, but help them. And that's what it is. And that's what we need to, we need to get to that point of praying for people more rather than just putting them down because it's different to what you know. We don't know what we don't know. If we haven't experienced it, it's difficult to say. And I feel I've gone through things in life for God to just knock me back down and said, listen, you need to fix up. You don't know what they're going through. You know, so when I'm talking about this, my friend, she doesn't even know, I've said this about her and her children not combing their hair. I don't know what her weekend was like. Do you understand? So it's a simple little things that we may cast judgment on somebody because of what they've may done, which we haven't done. But you know that what they're going through is going to be listened to somebody else. So look, we're all in situations to learn and to help others. It's not we're not in there so we can just stay in it and be part. We got to get out of it. God said you will go through trials and tribulations, but you will. I will deliver you from them all. So if you're in it, God will take you out of it. But you have to ask him to do it. You sit in it and complain about it, you're stuck. You want to get out the sand and keep moving.
Honestly, I'm loving this conversation. I love your realness. You're giving it. So thank you so much. So Phadera, like, so if someone wanted to get in touch with you,
yeah,
or if someone was saying, well, I want to connect with her, and they're thinking, like, what are some of the things that she can help me with? What would some of those things be? Like, how can you help me, or why should I connect with you?
Primarily, my love and passion is property. It really is. But it's not just, it's property because I believe it helps for generational wealth. And I just feel that wherever you are, you should try and acquire property somewhere along the line. Even if you start off by just doing a basic rent to rent, but your aim is to start to owning your own. So it gives you freedom. So, but while I do like property, I do also would encourage business. But my background is more property. It's more, so I would come from an angle from there, but also encourage business, because business, that with my children, that's what I work with them on, things like business and stuff like that. But I say, I would say my information, I believe, is quite vast. Because it's not, when I do teach property, it's not just property, how you buy, how you sell, get this loan money down. I'm trying to be real with it and say, look, let's be realistic here. What's good? What do you want? Why do you want to do it? It's not a one size fits all. It's never one method. You can do many different things. But while your property is just something that you do, but do your love. Have something that you really love. So if you wanted to get into property, I would always say to you, unless it's something that you really want to do full time, use it as a way of securing you an income to work on the things that you really love. So my thing is, even if it's something that you really love, I would then help you to get into the market, to start buying, even if you're not just buying, because everybody should be in property in one way or another. You might know somebody, you may know someone that's selling something. Someone's selling a property. Find them a buyer. Introduce them to someone that sells and said, you know what, I've got someone that's selling a property. Because there's a lot of independent agents. I'm an independent agent. they would be happy to take it on and then give you a commission for it. So there's things like that. You speak to people, the amount of people that can provide. Bank managers are good. Interior designers are good. You got a thing that they call off-market property deals, people that are selling things that don't want them to know about. You got builders are good for getting new stuff, but you have to put yourself out and say that that's who you are. So my point is this: if somebody wanted to work with me, it would be, yes, I'd help you with your business, but more importantly, I'd help you to get on the property ladder. And even if you're on there, I'd help you to do it in a way that is going to be sufficient and be profitable for you with less time, not take up too much of your time. As for my children, I wasn't working because I was at home all the time. But those times we didn't really have, it's faxes, used to do faxes and emails. So I'm at home all the time because I was there. And then I started being at Remax and working in the office, and they liked that. It was good because they saw me working. Because I thought, you know what, I don't want children to grow up and think that this is how it is. They needed to see me out. So God opened that door. I was in an office in central London. They went to school in Westminster. They went to Greycoat. So this has come from school and see me there. And they thought, you know, mum, it was on their road. My office was not far from their school. So it was good. And they liked it. First they used to say, Mum's a card maker. Mum, do you have a card maker? I think, no, I'm not. But because I was making cards. My mum's a card maker. No, Mum, you're a property person, you know. Yeah. So yeah, with me, it was property, but also I can help with business. But I always steer you, and I feel people should work at a pace that suits them. And also look into what they like first in order to decide what they're going to do, because everybody jumps on a bandwagon because everybody else is doing it, and it's not something that they really want to do. Their heart's not in it. Your heart has to be in it to really be part of it. But I just still feel for generational wealth, it's good for generational wealth, and we should look more into acquiring generational wealth for not just for ourselves but also for our children, and it gives you more freedom. Yeah,
I love that. I love that because, like you say, you're living. You know, that generational wealth is something your children can also benefit from, and your children's children, literally. So that's amazing. So how can people actually connect with you?
Well, they can. You know what? I've got a website, but I'd say it's under construction. Initially, it was FaderaFlash.com, but I've just changed it now to Phadera.com, and I only bought the domain name yesterday, actually, because I had to end my contract with the other people that I was with. I didn't think that was very supportive, and then my contract ended with them for my website, Phadera Flash. But it's already, the stuff up and running, so I think within about a week or two you'll find me on there, Phadera Flash. But also you got it'll just be Phadera.com now, not Phadera Flash anymore. But you'd also see me on LinkedIn and Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. But what I would say, I am an old schooler, so I realize the importance of social media. So I'm just now getting up to date, thanks to you, actually, I should say. I'm getting up to date with my social media stuff. So it might be a bit ancient, but I'm getting there. I'm understanding it, and I know the importance of social media, and I've got some courses lined up for next year. And like I said, I'm also writing a book. But as a result of our conversation yesterday, I'm now going to call it Phadera's Property Tips. I think that will be more valuable than what I was going to do before. Because the reason why I believe it's going to be more valuable, because people go on courses. Someone mentioned someone went on a course the other day, and you come out and you're taught one method. It's never one size fits all. And it's really to help people to look at where they're at, look at the situation that they're in, and what's the best way to deal with it. So it's giving different ideas, because when I did rent to rent, I came up with some obstacles and I figured them out. And also when it comes to buying, making sure you get paid, selling, making sure you get paid. So I did a lot of, I found there's a lot of things, a lot of mistakes I might have made along the way, which I've learnt from, and it would add value, because especially if you, I'll give you an example. when you find properties for somebody, you want to make sure you get paid. And you also want to make sure that, how can I find you a property, let you go and see it, and you not go behind my back and then deal with the person directly? It's how do you navigate, how do you orchestrate that? Because before, it's happened to me and I'm like, whoa, you know, I've taken someone in to look at the property, I've got to deal with the owner, but then my guy goes straight to the owner without my back. And it's like, how did that happen? Because I didn't have things in place. So it's things, and also when you're finding things for people, because people would always say, "Oh, help me." Someone say, "Oh, can you help me find somewhere?" And I'll say, like, "But you're gonna pay me. I'm not just gonna look for something for you, because I'm not. Because you've got me finding you. I mean, you've got other people, and I'm taking my time. You're going to estate agents, and you're getting from the list, but I'm searching all the portal. I'm not gonna do that for nothing. But be bold enough to say, would you pay me? I'll do it if you pay me. They don't pay you, fine, you just walk away. You know? And it's knowing how to say things, how to ask for your money politely. Would you pay me?
I love it. Yeah. So you've got a book coming out.
Yeah.
And you've got some courses. The 2024 is looking amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you're watching and you want to connect with Phadera, you can find her on LinkedIn. You can find her on Facebook. But like she said, just,
what they could do
her time
is put a note to let me know, because you know what it is. As you know, it took you a while for you to tell me, I've been reaching out for you, you haven't accepted me. Put a note to say, I heard you on Elizabeth. Yep. So then I would actually engage with a conversation with you. Just say, I heard you with Elizabeth. So that way I can engage in the conversation with you, because you might just get overlooked. Because there might be, I'm going to let you into a little secret about me. It's kind of a bit embarrassing, but I'll tell you what it is. Right. I was speaking to somebody last week, and I said, they sent me emails and I hadn't seen it. I said, you know what? I've got 120,000 emails. That's what I told them. In fact, it's 260,000 emails that I haven't looked at. That's how I get lost.
You might need a VA.
No, I did have.
You need an assistant.
No. You know what? I did have when I was at Remax, I had an assistant to help me with that. No, help me with my work. But she had to help me. She was just spending time getting rid of my emails. So my work got overlooked. I'm going to have to get my children maybe to just start deleting stuff off for me, over a period of time. Yeah. Because there was a lot of it. So I'm saying, with messages, if they put that and I will start looking on my socials, I will then reduce them. I would know specifically, yes, priority, Elizabeth's priority, definitely. I would reach out and I would engage. Yeah.
Awesome. So just as we close, right, we're having this conversation kind of out of the Show Up and Shine Social Media Visibility Challenge. So for those that are tuning in, I met Phadera we've actually met literally a month ago when she signed up to the November challenge. If you're out there, you're a Christian woman and you're struggling to show up consistently on social media, I encourage you to, sign up. I'm going to share the link for December. So sign up for December and join us. We have an amazing community. We meet every week as well, where we have some very good conversation. Phadera, how have you found the challenge?
I would say absolutely great. And I'm not saying it because you're here. I'm saying it because it's the truth. It is. I mean, I was struggling with social media, posting, and even what to do. I didn't have a clue. And I said, I already put myself to write a book, and I wanted to finish it by January the 19th. And it wasn't until our conversation yesterday, then the title that I thought about makes it easier for me to write it. The other one that I had was going to be difficult. This is going to be a breeze, and I think it's going to be more successful. But I feel that I got a lot of content with the women on there as well. They share things. When I first came on, I watched the recording, and listening to a lady gave me the idea for my strap line. because I didn't even know. I mean, I had, what do you do? Oh, I do property and I do a bit of business, and I didn't really have an idea. I wanted to make it sound something really great, like property business lifestyle strategist, but I wanted to do it, but at the time I didn't. So I have learned a lot, and also you maybe see it's easier to show up and shine. I haven't showed up and shine yet, but I have challenged myself, and I'm saying this now live. Tomorrow, I expect to put something out tomorrow. That's my.
You got witnesses now.
I know.
They're gonna hold you accountable.
I know, and it will be a property tip of something. A property tip, because that's what I'm gonna focus on, property tips, and I might just share something for maybe a couple of minutes, and that will be it.
Cool. So they should follow you on what, Facebook to get some property tips.
I don't know. I'm gonna put it on. Post me, follow me on everything, because I might even. I'm not sure. I must end up putting it on, because I know TikTok's quite small as well. You get small little snippets. So I might even put something on TikTok as well. So yeah,
you can do up to 10 minutes on TikTok.
Oh, is it? Okay, so I won't be doing that long. But anyway, I could just follow me on the socials. The TikTok, because Twitter, I'm on all of them, and I'm not even but I will be professionally social media, but yeah, I'm on all of them, so yeah, you can follow me.
Awesome. Yeah? Just a quick one before we finish. So my husband helps people with books. He's a book author. He's a book author coach, if that makes sense. But yeah, so he literally said, get in touch. So if you want help with your book, he can help you with the book, and he also does a little bit of property. So maybe you guys can connect that way.
Okay, cool.
But this has been amazing. If you are just joining, I encourage you to just go to the beginning and start. If you know anybody who should have listened to this conversation, please forward the link onto them. Now, Phadera, before we finish, I just want you to share some last words, and those last words could be around just this whole property lifestyle, some hot tips. Let's add to the tips, but just something that you can share. I love, like, literally everything that we've talked about. You talked about, like, just doing stuff. What can you do with your hands? Do it. Don't just sit around mourning. Get up and do. You've given us some business tips, some family tips, some faith tips. But just one final one, and we will close the show.
Okay, well, I'm gonna end it with this, because when I was at church on Sunday, they asked us to do a reflection, and the scripture that I got was Jeremiah 1 verses 4 and 5, and then in that scripture he said, and the word of the Lord came to me, and it said, before you was in the womb, I formed you, I sanctified you, and I ordained you a prophet amongst all nations. And the question is this: God said before he was in the womb, he formed him. So that means he formed us all before we were in the womb. That means he had a plan for all of us. So what it is, I'm saying, what is it that God wants you to do? Ask him, and he will direct you to what it is. So before he was in the womb, he already knew what he wanted you to do. So though we might have our own plans, because I said, I just now go with the flow and be led by what God wants. It might sound silly. Just one last thing. It might sound silly, but I remember saying to somebody, they had said to me that they thought I should do something, and I said to them, you know what? Well, I thought about what they said, and I said, you know what? Next day I said to them, because I spoke to God and said, I don't know if I should or shouldn't. They said, but they thought I shouldn't, and that was a general consensus of quite a few people. But then God said this is what I got. I got that when Joseph's brothers did him wrong, Joseph didn't go seek out his brothers to try and get them to say I'm sorry and all the rest of it. He said God brought his brothers to him. But so everything's in God's timing. If God opens a door for you to do it, then you go ahead and do it. Doesn't mean because everybody said you should do it. If the door's not open, don't go ahead and do it. Because God says his ways his thoughts are different to ours. So it's waiting on God. So sometimes the masses will say to you, do such and such, but within yourself, you don't feel to do it. Don't do it, because God knows the time and the place. That's it in a nutshell.
Wow. I love the way we finished off, because I love that scripture. It's like one of my favorite.
Yeah, I didn't even know that's
amazing.
I've read it before, but it hit me when I was given it. I said, wow. when they gave that to me, I said, yeah, that is definitely, we need to say, what did you form me to do? What was it? What is it you want me to do, Lord? And he will guide you. Yeah.
That's it. That's it. Thank you, Tunji. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Bella. Thank you, Becky. Thank you to everyone else who's watching. Apologies if I've not mentioned your name. Thank you, Pastor Shay. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Coach Mute. Thank you to everyone who's watching. Please share this. Help us get the word out there. If you're a Christian woman who needs to show up consistently on social media, we got you. Join the social media Show Up and Shine challenge. We have got you. But thank you so much for joining us this morning. God bless you. Thank you, Phadera. Thank you for being on here
Thank
today.
you very much. Thank you, everyone. It's my pleasure.
Awesome. God bless you guys.
Okay, bye.